Hi, I'm Greg Lloyd. I'm a barrister based in Greytown in the Wairarapa. I'm a specialist employment lawyer and I've been specialising in employment law for the past 20 plus years. What I'm going to talk about today is small businesses or rural businesses and what your obligations are to your employees in the event of a disaster. No matter where we live in Aotearoa, New Zealand, natural disasters are an ever-present danger. In recent years, we've seen communities and people devastated by earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and of course, a global pandemic. And we know that disasters affect every part of our lives, and that's especially true when it comes to employment. And understanding and preparing for natural disasters in the employment context is going to be critically important. It's important to remember that your employees are part of our community as well, so the wages they earn are important to them and help them function within our local communities. And it is also important to remember that your employment obligations don't automatically end when a natural disaster strikes. In fact, I would argue that they are probably even more important that you comply with and ensure your employment obligations are met in the event of a disaster. And the best way to do that is to be prepared. I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but what I want to do is just give you an overview of the sorts of things that you'll need to turn your mind to before a disaster strikes, so you are ready when it does hit. You don't want to be scrambling around looking for the information and trying to understand what your rights and obligations are after the event. You want to know what they are before it strikes. So the best way to be prepared as an employer for a natural disaster is to ensure that you have all of the necessary policies and all of your employment agreements up to date and ready to deal with a disaster if and when it hits. It is important to remember that those policies that you develop will form part of your employees' terms and conditions of employment. So it is critically important that your employees are involved in developing them, understand them, and know that they exist. And you'd be surprised how many employers have policies that affect their employees, but their employees don't even know about them. If that is the case, then those policies will be unenforceable and won't really be worth the paper they're written on. So it's important that your employees know about these policies and understand what they are and what the implications of them are for your employees. Every business is unique, and so your policies need to be tailored to suit your circumstances. Also, you can't predict everything that's going to happen, so your policies need to be flexible enough to adapt and to apply in whatever circumstances arise or whatever the consequences are of a natural disaster. And the sorts of things that you'll need to consider are things like what happens if it's not possible for my employees to work for a period of time after a disaster strikes. Do I have to keep paying them? Can I require that they take annual leave or use their annual leave? Can I require them to take unpaid leave? How do I assess what health and safety hazards exist to ensure that my employees are safe? What rights do my employees have if it is too unsafe for them to work? Can I require my employees to do work that they weren't originally employed to do, such as assisting with the disaster recovery or working in another part of my business? What if I determine that the impact of the disaster is such that I can't keep some or all of my employees? What are my obligations if any of my employees start to show signs that their mental health is being affected by the natural disaster. And what are my obligations as an employer if my business is destroyed beyond repair and it has to be wound up? Now, these are just some of the tough questions that you need to ask and that you need to talk to your employees about and that you need to be prepared for should the worst happen. If a disaster does strike, talk to your employees. It might sound obvious, but the most important obligation that employers and employees have is to deal with each other in good faith. Good faith underpins every aspect of the employment relationship, and we call it a relationship for a reason. It's not just another contract. It's a relationship between people, and for most of us, the employment relationship is one of the most important relationships we'll have in our lives. You and your employees have a shared interest in getting your business up and running again after a disaster. So an important part of that is ensuring open and honest communication between you and your employees. The Employment Relations Act tells us what good faith communication or what good faith relationships look like, and it includes being responsive and communicative. It includes sharing information, especially if that information might affect your employees' ongoing employment. It requires you to listen to your employees, ask for their feedback and suggestions, and properly consider what they've got to say. And it's important also to remember that your employees will often understand your business as well as you do. So what they have to offer is going to be valuable. It's not just about compliance, it's about the survival of your business and getting all of the information you can, and that includes from your employees. Now, it doesn't have to be complicated. Often employment relations seems to be overly complex and a bit of a minefield, but it doesn't have to be. If you have effective policies in place, if you deal with your employees in good faith, then you are 99% there. Your risk of non-compliance is minimal, and you won't be adding unnecessarily to the stress and anxiety that you and your employees will already be experiencing. You do need to be familiar with your legal obligations, and that doesn't mean that you have to understand every detail of every law that touches on employment relationships, but you should be at least aware of the relevant laws that govern the employment relationships and which are likely to be relevant in the event of a natural disaster. So you should at least understand what the purpose of those laws are. And some of the key ones include the Employment Relations Act, the Holidays Act, the Health and Safety at Work Act, the Minimum Wage Act, the Wages Protection Act, the Privacy Act, and the Accident Compensation Act. Some of the government agencies include the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, WorkSafe, Employment New Zealand, Business New Zealand, Work and Income, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Civil Defence, Fire and Emergency. And some of the important non-governmental organisations that can provide support, information and assistance include Community Law Centres, Citizens Advice Bureau, Rural Community Network, Heartland Services, Mental Health Support Services, industry bodies and trade unions. So the final point I want to make is that you might want to think about undertaking an audit of your existing policies and employment agreements. And you do this for your own peace of mind to ensure that you are prepared if the worst happens. So you might want to engage a specialist employment lawyer or HR advisor or some other professional with expertise in this area that can help you prepare for a natural disaster, or prepare your employment arrangements in the event of a natural disaster. But some of the tips I'd like to share if you are thinking about doing that is make sure that you shop around, because there are lots of people out there calling themselves experts who aren't. Be clear about what you want, be clear about what services are being offered and what they cost. Make sure the services being offered are right for you before you commit to it. Be careful about anyone who wants to lock you into an ongoing contract. Always ask for a free consultation before you commit. And if possible, use local people, because local people are more likely to understand your business. So at the end of the day, this is really about making sure that you are prepared, or your employment arrangements are ready and prepared in the event of a natural disaster. It's about giving you peace of mind and ensuring as best as possible that if a natural disaster does strike, then you will be able to comply with your obligations, you'll be able to do the right thing for your employees and hopefully get your business back up and running sooner. I'm a specialist employment lawyer, and one of the things I do is help employers develop policies and ensure they do have everything in place. So if you would like to get in touch with me to talk about these issues, you can.